So this is a brand new Strix Guard 15, the latest model from the ASUS ROG series. Now in terms of specs, it pretty much is the top of the line. Comes with the best of both AMD and Nvidia. I've had this for a month now and I've pretty much put this to test with different types of games, different types of settings, and I think this is definitely the best laptop to beat in the market right now for a gamer. So stick around to find out why. Okay, so let's start with specs.
So the model I have is the most powerful configuration you can get. It comes with the QHD 165Hz screen, latest and most powerful Ryzen 5900HX from AMD, GeForce 3080 16GB graphics with 130 watts of maximum power, and then 32 gigs of RAM and a super fast 2TB SSD. Now, if you want to save some money and go for a lower spec model, there are plenty of options to choose from, including a less powerful graphics card and a full HD screen. ASUS have all the models with the specs details on their website, so definitely check them out. So ASUS offers two types of screen for this model, basically Full HD at 300Hz and then QHD at 165Hz. You know, as I said earlier, mine is a QHD and is perhaps my favorite part of this laptop. Now, I don't want to go too much in details about the spec, but in terms of coverage, it has 98.3% sRGB and 85.5% Adobe RGB, which means with a wide color gamut, this is perfect for work and play, especially if you're going to do a lot of video editing to get that accurate color. And of course, the screen is perfect for both playing games and watching movies. You know, I can tell you, it's amazing.
Now, in terms of size, it's actually much compact than some of the previous models. You know, it's about 2.53 kilos. You know, you can see the bezels are much smaller than the previous model. Now, in terms of build quality, the lid is very sturdy. I mean, it's the exterior is actually matte metal. It's very smooth, and interior is kind of plasticky with sort of translucent, so you can see what's inside, which is kind of cool. One thing that I hate about this plastic surface is the fact that it's literally a fingerprint magnet. You know, it smudges really easily. I mean, you can probably see here, it's loads of fingerprints. So that's something I don't really like. The other thing which I really like are the speakers. You know, there's two speakers at the bottom there, and then two tweezers there. And I think this is probably the best laptop speakers I've heard. Now, don't expect a lot of bass, but otherwise it's fantastic for just watching movies and games.
In terms of ports, on the left side you have two USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 and an audio jack, and on the right it's only the Keystone. I think this is good, especially if you're using a mouse with no cables hanging out. Finally, on the back, one USB-A 3.2, one USB-C 3.2, Gen 2, HDMI 2.0B, then LAN and the power port. This laptop comes with a 90 Wh battery, giving you plenty of juice to last at least 6 to 8 hours of watching movies, editing documents, etc. I also managed to get at least an hour playing games with screen brightness set to 50 to 60%, which I think is great. In terms of charger, you get a 240 watt power brick and it fills up the battery in just under 2 hours. Now, if you don't want to carry the brick with you, you can also charge the laptop using the USB-C port, which I think is really handy. So for power management, ASUS offers plenty of customization via the Armoury Crate app with adjustments for both GPU and CPU. You can choose between using silent, performance, turbo, and even a manual mode, which lets you beef up performance all the way up. Also, this is where you choose to switch between iGPU and DGPU. You know, when you plug the laptop off the power, it basically automatically changes to iGPU and the refresh rate changes from 165 to 60 Hz. First, let's talk about the keyboard. Now, this keyboard is a very special keyboard. You know, on top of the amazing RGB lights, this is an optical mechanical keyboard, and I really like typing on this keyboard compared to all the previous laptops that I had. I mean, this might not be for everyone, especially because it can get slightly louder, but it's nothing crazy. I mean, here, listen to it and see what you guys think. Now, let's talk about RGB. So via the Aura Sync app, there are plenty of customization options like static, breathing, rainbow, etc., which you probably must have seen in other places. And you can actually create your own using the inbuilt editor. But my favorite part is this: ASUS literally brings the dance floor onto your laptop, which is the music mode, wherein your keys dance to the tune. Here, check this out. Another cool feature is a swappable shoulder cap, which they refer as armor cap. Now, I think this is a pretty cool addition to the aesthetics of the laptop. You know, out of the box you get 3 options, and ASUS currently have other designs on their website for you to 3D print. Of course, I mean, everyone has a 3D printer these days, right? But yeah, if you need it, there you go. Lastly, the Keystone, which is quite cool, but I think it's a bit of a gimmick. You know, this is essentially a shadow drive that lets you store settings, backup, etc. I mean, it kind of gives you a James Bond feeling when you insert it. Now check this out.
Now, obviously this is a gaming laptop. It literally screams gaming. I mean, look at all these lights, and I love it.
Now let's start with the obvious choice, Cyberpunk 2077. With DLSS set to be balanced, I was able to play with everything in ultra settings, including ray tracing, and managed to get an average of 35 frames per second, which I think is fantastic for a laptop of this size. Next up, Control is a perfect game to show off this laptop. With DLSS turned on and all the settings beefed up to ultra, I was getting an average of 85 frames per second, which is amazing, and all this with maximum ray tracing. I mean, ray tracing on this title is an absolute joy to watch. So another game I put to test is the latest next generation edition of Metro Exodus with ray tracing. Again, with all the settings beefed up to ultra, I was easily getting average of 45 frames per second, which is incredible if you look at how detailed this title is and the stunning race-track environments. I mean, see for yourself. Now, you cannot do a benchmark without asking this question: can it run Crysis? Well, the answer is astounding yes. So I beefed up settings all the way up and got an average of at least 40 frames per second with DLSS unbalanced. Now, I think this is a really impressive achievement on a laptop of this size. Although I must say the fans were going absolutely crazy, so I'd recommend using headphones for sure. Still, I think it's pretty amazing what I was able to play using this laptop.
Okay, now to summarize, let's talk about pros and cons. So let's start with pros. Now, this is an extremely powerful laptop, small, light, and much simpler than previous generations. It has amazing RGB elements. The screen is excellent, Quad HD. I honestly think this is much better than 4K. And it has a 90-watt battery. You know, as I said earlier, it provides at least 6 to 8 hours of work, watching movies, etc., and at least 1 hour gaming. You know, I'm guessing you wouldn't want to game on the battery anyways. And then, you know, the speakers are amazing. I think one of the best speakers I've ever tried. Keyboard, I'm not sure if this can be seen as a pro, because this is my personal preference. I think this is an amazing keyboard. I just love typing on. So for me this is a pro, but maybe con for some other people. Now let's get to the cons. So a couple of things. First of all, it's 2021. A lot of people are working from home, and which means people are joining Zoom calls, WebEx or whatever. So this laptop doesn't have a camera. I mean, for me it's okay because the video calls I do, I use my tablet, so for me it's okay, but they could have given a camera. The other bad thing is it doesn't have a mux switch. Now you can use the USB-C port and connect to a monitor to actually get maybe 15 to 20% extra FPS, but with a mux switch you could get the same 15-20% extra on the laptop rather than using an extra external screen. And then lastly, I wish it had a card reader and maybe biometrics to use your fingerprint for login. Not a big deal in this 2021, so these are some of the common features that's been around for the last couple of years, so I wish those things were here. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I really appreciate you sticking around. I hope this video kind of gave you a decent insight into what this laptop can do, especially having it with you on a day-to-day basis. As I said, I've had it for a month, and I think this is definitely one of the best laptops to buy right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop down any comments. So I will see you next time.